Hello and welcome to the Vinyl Sanctuary. My name is Christian and I hope that you will join me in taking refuge in records. So I'm here today with part 2 of my All My Colours series, which was an idea suggested to me by a subscriber to the channel and someone who I now consider to be a very dear friend, and that person is Jessie. So if you're watching, Jessie, I do hope that you enjoy what I'm about to show in part 2. Now, if you've come across me here, in isolation, and you're wondering what I'm talking about and what's going on here, then please do check out part 1. So I'll put a link to that video in the description box to this video that you're watching here, as that first part gives you an overview of Jessie's original idea and then how I've gone about running with it. So in that first part, I cover the colours. You got a bit of a tongue twister there. I cover the colours brown, grey and black. But today we're up to part 2 and we are looking at the colours cream and white. So these are all albums that are in my vinyl collection that have a colour in the title, but again, more on that in part 1, just so that I'm not repeating myself. Okay, so there's only 10 records to show here today, and it'll be the usual process in terms of holding them up, having a bit of a talk about them, mentioning a few favourite tracks, and then moving on to the next one. So if you did tune in last time, I did give you a heads up that cream and white would be the colours I'd be covering in this part. So hopefully you've had a chance to go away and compile your own favourites of that colour, albums that you've been into maybe for years, or old favourites, maybe they're new discoveries. And if you want to play along in the comments and include your colours for me to take a look at that are cream and white, then I would love the opportunity to do that, interact and let you know what I think of your picks. And please do let me know also what you think of my picks here today as well. Engagement with the channel is always hugely appreciated. Right then, so yeah, there is only 10, but there are some really, really great albums here. So I'm looking forward to get started. And as always, I thank you for being here, and just, sit back, enjoy, relax, and here's to a great part 2. I'm sure it will be part 2 of 5 actually. So yeah, it's a 5-parter I'm doing here at the moment, such as the number of albums in my collection that have got colours in the title, which was quite a few more than I thought initially, but yeah, it's been really enjoyable putting it together. Okay then, so let's get going. Okay, so we've just got the one cream album, cream colour, being represented in my collection, and I'm thinking that some of you detectives out there might have already worked out who this band might be. Okay, so I do include compilations, and live albums and stuff in this particular ranking series. I don't always do that, but I have done it for this one. So coming up today, we've got, first of all, kicking us off, we've got, of course, Cream, the band Cream, with the compilation album Heavy Cream. So there's the Cream being represented there. So just take it out of the plastic sleeve. So yeah, I've always loved this packaging. It has been featured on the channel before. I'm pretty sure of that, actually. It would have been included in my best of greatest hits series that I did. So again, if you fancy checking those videos out that I've already done on the channel, then I'd be really grateful if you did. You can find that on the channel uploaded. So yeah, anyway, let's get back to Cream. So yeah, brilliant band. Always loved them. Blues rock, psychedelic, just consummate musicians, the three of them. Got Ginger Baker on the drums, Eric Clapton, of course, on guitar, and then Jack Bruce as well on bass and vocals. Amazing bass player. So let's talk a little bit about the packaging. So yeah, as you can see, it's been done as like a milk carton. It's a very distinctive packaging, and I just love the red, white, and blue effect of it as well. It just really stands out. So you just flip the lid here, so to speak, and then everything's packaged inside. So let's just show you the insides first. So there we go. Got a great photograph of the group there. Brilliant dresses, I have to say, as well. Got a great sense of style about them, I have to say. So there's that one. So yeah, it's a 2 LP one, this one. Photograph there again, same photograph, and all your information, track listings, etc. Yeah, just checking if there were bios actually there. Yeah, they're just like a bit of a discography for each band member there as well, individual stuff that they did. So yeah, that's really cool, that. So yeah, I've had this in the collection for a good while now. I do come back to it quite a lot. when I feel like rocking out, and it's just great from start to finish, really. So I mean, favourite tracks. I mean, side one alone is fantastic. We've got Strange Brew, White Room. Of course, have to mention White Room, don't I, when I'm doing a series on colours, especially with it being white as well. So Badge as well, I've always enjoyed. That's a co-write of there between Eric Clapton and his very dear friend George Harrison of a certain group, who may or may not be coming up later on. Got Spoonful as well on side one, Rolling and Tumbling, which is a Muddy Waters track. But yeah, brilliant all the way through. Some of my personal favourites. I've always loved I Feel Free, which kicks off side two. Born Under a Bad Sign is excellent as well. Then on side three, Crossroads, which is one of my all-time favourite Dream covers and songs. It's a Robert Johnson song. Love that on side three. I've also got a couple there off the brilliant album Disraeli Gears as well. That's represented on side three with the likes of She Walked Like a Bearded Rainbow and Tales of Brave Ulysses, which is on there as well, which has got some amazing wah-wah guitar playing on that. And then side four's None Too Shabby Either, you know, got Sunshine of Your Love on there, which is brilliant. I'm So Glad, Take It Back, Those Were the Days. And then it finishes off with doing that Scrapyard thing. So yeah, really excellent compilation that. And I think a very fine way to get this particular part kicked off. So I'll just put these bits and pieces back and then we will move on to the next one. So that's Cream covered there. So if anyone's got any comments at all on that, on the band, on the album itself, then please do let me know. Always do enjoy, as I mentioned at the start of the video, getting into conversations with people who take the time, you know, very generous to tune in to me and to leave a comment. I do like to reciprocate and you know, get in touch and that sort of thing as well. So I'll just get this all back into shape here, and then we can move on to the next one. Okay, that's all in. Just get that corner of that milk top there, milk carton there, sorted out. There we go, all put away, all sorted. Yeah, and something I did want to mention just while it's popped into my head, I have a habit of doing that. So in part one, as I mentioned, I did the colours brown, grey and black, and there was a record in there by the Stranglers, very, very famous album, brilliant album from 1978, called Black and White. And a regular viewer of the channel, gentleman by the name of Robert, contacted me to say in that video whether or not I'd be mentioning the album again in this video, because it's obviously got the colour white in. So, you know, it's eligible for inclusion in both parts. So what I did promise I'll do, and I'm doing it now, is I just said that I would give Black and White by the Stranglers in this video like an honourable mention, a bit of a nod. I've already spoken about that album before. I did it in the black part, so I just want to give that nod out there because I did enjoy that discussion with Robert. So if you do want to know what I had to say about Black and White by the Stranglers, brilliant album, then please do check out part one. So I just wanted to get that in there while it had popped into my head. I didn't want to get to the end of the video and forget to give that honourable mention to the Stranglers with them having the two colours in the title. So hope that's cool there with you, Robert. Okay, so moving on now to the white. So we've got 9 albums left here that are all white, and this is a great album. This one, very underrated, I feel, in my opinion. Certainly, I think as well within this particular artist's discography. It's a bit of an outlier within his discography for me personally, and it was released before this person went stratospheric in terms of chart success, popularity, you name it. A born rock star, pop star, if you will. So from 1979, we have got Adam and the Ants with Dirk Wears White Socks. And I think that is a really, almost like a very gothic front cover, that one. You know, wouldn't be out of place in my opinion on like a Bauhaus release, or, you know, some sort of figure that you'd see on a 4AD design by 23 Envelope, you know, Vaughan Oliver project there. So over on that record label, just very, very distinctive front cover, even right down as well to the, you know, the choice of font here as well. But yeah, so with this one, it's just a great post-punk album, really, really strong. I love the production on it. The bass and the drums in particular really snap on it. There's just a lovely, crisp sound to it. And this was, as I mentioned, it was released before Adam Ant went huge with this almost reincarnation, if you will, of Adam and the Ants, where he adopted the the sort of the war paint and the Dande highwayman look, the fusion of Burundi drums with Ennio Morricone spaghetti western style guitars. Just this really amazing sound of the early 1980s that just captivated the nation. And he just went on to become an absolutely massive pop star, having #1 hits, and yeah, just synonymous with the 1980s really. But this is an altogether different beast, this one. So this is just really good, solid, quite dark post-punk. We've got some excellent tracks on here, which I'll talk about in a moment. Yeah, I can't really just sort of overstate that change, that shift in direction. This is, for me, sort of stuff on here that brings to mind, even the likes of the sort of the jagged abrasiveness of groups like Wire and Gang of Four, bit of Magazine in there. Who else do I hear when I listen to this? A little bit of Susie Sue in there as well, Susie and the Banshees. But it's just really good, hypnotic music. So if you are into your post-punk and maybe, you've got this quite fairly an idea of Adam Ant in your head, or Adam and the Ants as being a group that went in a much more poppy direction, then, this is not really poppy at all. I hear a bit of the Associates in here actually as well. So yeah, I've named quite a few bands there, that sort of jagged kind of abrasiveness to them, but really hypnotic as well, and very, very beguiling music. So there you go. You can see it's the original inner. Now, just as a point of interest, this chap here shines all the way through on the record. This is Andy Warren, who is credited as Andrew Warren here. He's not a bass guitar. He left Adam and the Ants before they went massive to join the Monochrome set, and they're a group that I absolutely love to bits as well. Excellent sort of indie pop, post-punk group, led by a very interesting chap called Bid, and Andy Warren went on to play with that with the Monochrome set. But yeah, there's Adam there. Looking very, very young. There he is. He was young on this one. And side one in particular is just superb. You've got Car Trouble Parts 1 and 2. Nine Plan Failed is excellent as well. I love Table Talk, which closes side one off. And that has got like a little bit of that sort of Western guitar twang creeping in. You can see hints of where they're about to go in the future with the direction. But yeah, Cleopatra, which opens side 2, is brilliant as well. The brilliantly titled Never Trust a Man with Egg on His Face, that definitely needs a shout out. The lyrics throughout, as you'd expect, Adam Ant has always been a superb lyricist in my opinion. Definitely worth listening to the lyrics and paying close attention. And then it finishes off with the idea as well, so which is a really hypnotic track to finish. So yeah, that is a really superb album, that one. I'm very glad that I've had the chance to show that one off. It was extremely unfortunate not to get into my final listings for my 1979 video, which is a little bit of a spoiler there for people who haven't watched that video. But I mean, that year was just so ridiculously high in terms of quality. But that is a bit of a gem, that one. So if you are interested in exploring it based upon what I've had to say, then please do let me know how you get on with it. Okay, right, so moving on. A band here that need no introduction whatsoever, so I'm just going to get right into it. This album technically does not have the colour white in the title, so I want to get that cleared up right away before anybody comes at me saying it doesn't have the word white in the title. The reason it's in here is because it is universally known by this name, so I think it's fair to say that it ought to be included. It's almost become as famous as its given name, if not more so. So I've put it in. Okay, so I'm just acknowledging to people that I do realise it's not actually got that colour in the title officially. But coming from 1968, of course, we've got the Beatles with the White Album. Or as I should say, the Beatles. It's just self-titled. There we go. So if you want an all-white album, right down to the cover art, there you go. You can't get more whiter than that. So this is a lovely repress I've got. And wow, what can you say about it? Well, it's an immense double album. It spans so many genres and does it expertly well. There is some unbelievable songwriting on it. I'm just going to take the all the bits and pieces out first, so we can just show you here. So obviously there's one of the records there. Got the lovely booklet here as well. Some lovely photographs. So yeah, it's just a booklet, but it pulls out, it sort of folds out as well. Got all your lyrics and everything here. So see if I can undo all that and just show you. It's a piece of something of interest, so I'm always what's a poster really, isn't it? Rather than a booklet to get my terminology through it. So there you go. Look at that. And then you turn it over out, and then you've got all your lyrics as well. There we go. So let's just fold that up. There you go. That's all gone away nice and tidily. And of course, you've got your iconic Apple labels there as well. So I'm just going to take these bits out so then I can get into the gatefold as well. I've got this other little booklet here that comes as part of the reissue, which was on the Agostini there. You can see there at the bottom. So that's part of that vinyl collection. So this was it's like a nice little booklet there that comes with it. So this was issue number 4, this one, in that collection. So yeah, I bought this a while back, but it's a beautiful copy. Sounds great as well. There you go. Just in case nobody's seen that before, that's my copy, sorry, of it. Okay, so one thing I will say about this album, there we go, the gatefold as well. Beautiful. Your track listings, great photographs of the group there. I always love that, those pictures, particularly of John and Paul. Looks super iconic on that. But yeah, just great. Great from start to finish. So for me, what this album did do was it ushered in the whole, in my opinion anyway, I would say, almost the license for bands to really start pushing the envelope in terms of releasing albums that just span every idea under the sun. So, you know, the genres on here that are covered is just unbelievable for 68. You've got proto metal on here, you've got country, you've got folk, just straight up pop. You know, there is obviously some experimentation going on as well. And all the way through, the band are just putting ideas out there, which I just find so admirable, rewarding, inspiring. And it became a bit of a saying really within music circles that when bands or artists, you know, following up, or, you know, who when I say following up, it came out obviously after the Beatles did, that whenever they went on to release some kind of an album that, you know, spanned multiple genres or were double records that, you know, flipped from style to style, they were almost always dubbed as being that group's white album. So it almost became like a little bit of a thing in itself there, that you often read that where, and like for instance, I quite recently acquired the album Lolita Nation by Game Theory, and that was described as being, you know, their white album. I mean, I've still yet to explore it properly, that album, but you can tell from the way that it sort of flips from style to style that it's almost just become that blueprint, I would say, for people going away and doing that type of thing where the experimentation is pure, the songwriting is just free flowing. Any ideas that you've got on there, you know, for better, for worse, maybe, arguably, just put it out there, and then that just becomes the, you know, the sum of its parts. That just becomes the statement that the group or the groups that have come up after the Beatles wanted to make. And this record is certainly a statement. So that's what I would say about it. I mean, so much has been written about it, but I do think it's important to appreciate that, you know, putting a double album out at the height, you know, where the Beatles were at this point in their career. You know, there's things that some people on here might not particularly enjoy or even think need to be on it. But for me personally, I just feel that every track warrants its place, because without them it just wouldn't be the White Album. It wouldn't be what it is, and it is something, you know, rather extraordinary. But in terms of favourite tracks, I mean, my goodness, Back in the USSR to Open, that beautiful Beach Boys pastiche, love it to bits. I've always adored Dear Prudence. The cover that was done years later by Susie and the Banshees is one of my favourite covers of all time, but I've always enjoyed the original. Glass Onion I love to bits as well. Blackbird, of course, is just an absolute stunner from Paul McCartney, just acoustic greatness. I love listening to that with my pet cat. Raymond. While My Guitar Gently Weeps is just one of the greatest songs ever, in my opinion. Beautiful. One of George Harrison's very, very best. Helter Skelter, proto metal on there, just really, really rocking, heavy, heavy, heavy. Great, great shouting, singing on it as well. Oh my word, there's so many. And even Revolution 9, just the sheer experimentation of it, just the absolute, the balls, the wrist to put that on there. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I have no problem with it at all. Got Revolution 1, of course, on here as well. Oh wow, what an album. Don't Pass Me By, Why Don't We Do It in the Road? Yeah, just iconic, that, from start to finish. Just so, honestly, if you've never heard the White Album, if you're new to the Beatles, if maybe you may be working through their catalogue, maybe if you're just getting into them for the first time or getting into them on a deeper level, we can't always make assumptions that people know the Beatles inside out and back to front. I certainly don't. I don't make assumptions whenever I'm showing anything off. So if you've not listened to this album in full, or maybe you've not listened to it in a very, very long time, then I do hope that my showing it today has inspired you to give it another spin. I mean, it's a huge record, as you can see. I mean, it's well over an hour's worth of music, going on, I think, about an hour and a half, something like that. It's just fabulous, though. It really, really is. 1968, just the band, just in total command of what they're doing, of what they're about. Just, operating on so many different levels. It sounds wonderful, of course, as well. Got the invaluable input, of course, of the fifth Beatle, George Martin, on here as well. Have to mention George. So, yeah, the White Album by the Beatles, to give it its proper title. What an absolutely wonderful, wonderful addition to have in this series. So yeah, it's always such a strange thing when you're talking about an album like that. An album with that reputation, with so much that's been written and said about it. Sometimes I think it's best just to kind of keep it, and that for me was pretty brief. So I'll give myself a pat on the back for keeping that one rather brief. Focus more on the favourite tracks. But do let me know with that one, everybody. Where do you rate the White Album amongst the Beatles? Do you think it's their best, their very best? Is it one that you don't care for particularly much? Is it a case of too much music? Do let me know. Please pop it in the comments. Okay, so moving on then. Right, yeah, this one takes you right back to childhood, which is why I've got a big daft smile on my face. So this group were my favourite band as a kid. So this would have been, yeah, I'd been in primary school back here, 7, 8, 9. This type of, well, I think it was about 9 when this came out. But my two older sisters were really into this sort of music, so I was hearing it all the time growing up in the house, and it just takes you back. Like, I used to go to like this little local disco thing that used to be at our local British Legion, and it was like for kids and stuff, but they play this type of music, likes of Two Unlimited and stuff like that, and all that brilliant sort of house, techno, rave stuff of the early 90s. So yeah, this one really makes me smile. And what was also great about it as well is when I found this copy of it, it was over in Germany, city called Bremen, which I've visited many, many times. It's one of my favourite cities in the world. I'd put it joint favourite with Manchester in terms of my favourite cities in the world. And I found it for €2. I could not believe it, because this is pretty rare. I'm not even sure now how much this goes for, but it would go for a lot more than €2. And this probably would have been bought, yeah, well over 10 years ago. I've been going over to Germany for a good while now, but I just couldn't believe it when I saw it. I mean, to this day, it probably has to be the greatest €2 I've ever spent. It was just there in a little nondescript box on a flea market along the river there in Bremen, and yeah, it was just there shining and glowing, and I got the opportunity to buy it. I'd never owned it on vinyl or CD or anything prior to that, but delighted to have it now. But yeah, it takes me right back, as I say. So coming up now, we've got The White Room by the KLF. Cannot tell you how much I love this group, cannot tell you how much I love this album. So we'll try and keep it brief. I always say that, then end up rabbiting on. Passion gets a hold of me and I end up going on too long, but there you go. So Bill Drummer and Jimmy Corti, what an album. So if you've not heard this album, it is for me essential, techno, electronic, rave, dance. It's just got an unbelievable vibe to it. It's joyous, it's uplifting, it's euphoric. It's a go-to album for me when the sun is shining, and at the time of recording here in the UK, the weather is absolutely beautiful. So I reckon I'm even going to give this a spin when I finish recording this video. I can't even put into words just how, well, number one, how happy I am to have a copy of this, but also just what the tracks mean to me. But I'll give it a go. So, we've got a version on here of What Time Is Love. There was a different version that was released as a single. I love Make It Rain, 3am Eternal, Last Train to Transcentral. I mean, I love every single track on it there, but they're my favourites. I do love No More Tears as well, actually, which is amazing. Great vocals on there by Maxine Harvey. And I'm going to play, there you go, that's the one that I wanted to point out in particular. There's a beautiful song on here called Build a Fire, right there. And the reason that I wanted to point it out is not only, again, because of the amazing backing vocals on that by Maxine Harvey, but playing gorgeous pedal steel guitar on that track is Evil Graham Lee. Now, Evil Graham Lee was a member of the Triffids, an Australian group. Absolutely love them to bits, very different to the KLF. But when I saw Evil Graham Lee popping up on there, playing that beautiful style of pedal steel that he's got, it just really made me smile so much, because I'm a huge fan of the Triffids. I've spoken about them on the channel before. But yeah, I've got Church the KLF on here as well. Yeah, I think I've already mentioned Make It Rain. Beautiful. Just love it. Really uplifting. Just a great dance record, that. That's just a list there of previous KLF releases. Very interesting duo, those two. Got an unbelievably rich and varied history. Do not have the time now to go into it. That would be, a video in itself, maybe for somebody else to tackle, but, to do it justice. But yeah, if you don't know much about the KLF, then please do go and give them, have a read up on them. But the most important thing I would say is, do please listen to that album, The Justified Ancients and Moo Moo, furthermore known as the Jams. That's what the whole KLF mythology was based upon. But yeah, wonderful, absolutely wonderful album. That one of my absolute all-time favourites, released in 1991. Amazing stuff. Okay, right. Just pop that back in. Yeah, I got quite emotional showing that one there. Yeah. Such is the power of music, eh? Right, okay, so moving on to this one. This one does qualify, because although it doesn't have the word, well, it does have the word white in the title, but it's just in a different language. So, a brilliant trio. We've already had one wonderful trio featured in Cream, with Clapton, Bruce and Baker. But now we've got coming up Copeland, Summers, and of course the one and only Sting. And here we have Regatta de Blanc, which very loosely translates as white reggae, hence its inclusion in our white series. And the band, of course, is The Police. So here's Summers, Sting and Copeland. Again, very much like Cream in that, not musically speaking, but in terms of musicianship, they do have the similarity of having a lead singer who plays bass. Both wonderful bass players. Of course, Copeland, very apt actually to mention that Ginger Baker is Copeland's drumming hero. So there is a little bit more of a connection there maybe with Cream and the Police than I originally thought. And then you've got this very unique, beautiful chiming guitar style of Andy Summers. He can play any style, that guy. He's an unbelievable guitarist. Certainly one of my all-time favourites, one of my guitar heroes. So then on the back there, we've got just the mob bowing their heads with their bleach blonde mops. And yeah, I mean, this is just an absolutely superb record. Yeah, it's just got a plain inner on that one. One of my favourites ever side one track ones in Message in a Bottle. Love that riff. I saw the Police live in think it was 2008 at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, and they opened up with Message in a Bottle, and wow, I just leapt out of my seat, couldn't help myself. I was ready to have a good old dance and a boogie to that one. I had to contain myself a little bit. I was so excited to be finally watching the Police live. Such a brilliant gig that I've got such wonderful memories of watching them. Then of course we've got the title track as well, Regatta de Blanc, which is fantastic. I'm just thinking there on side one, which is some of my favourites. I mean, Message in the Bottle is the standout. Message in the Bottle, I should say. It's a standout on that one. Really do love some of the stuff on side two. Though we've got Walking on the Moon, which has just got this gorgeous sort of spacey, phased, flangey guitar wizardry going on by Summers. But I also love the rhythm on that. Some of the playing of Stuart Copeland on Walking on the Moon is amazing. It's just such an apt piece of music for a song with that title. It does feel like you're almost sort of, like you are hopping without any gravity. It is just a really beautiful song, that, and a big hit for the band as well. But one of my absolute favourites on here is The Bed's Too Big Without You. I've always loved the bass line on it by Sting. Amazing bass line. Always, the lyrics as well are pretty thought-provoking. Got quite a sort of a fun song on here by Stuart Copeland called Any Other Day, where, in his view, everything's just going wrong on that day. The dog bites his leg and his scrambled eggs get burnt for breakfast, that type of thing. So that's more like a bit of a throwaway thing, but it's quite fun in its way. And No Time This Time is actually nice to close as well. So yeah, really solid album that by the Police, Regatta de Blanc. So again, as I always say with these things that I show, let me know where would you put that within the Police's discography. But yeah, it certainly does warrant its inclusion here, with the fact that its title in essence just means white reggae, very loosely translated from French. So there you go. That's the Police. Okay, so we've only got is it 4 left? 5? I think we're halfway through, are we? Let me just double check how many we've got left. 1, 2, 3. Yes, we've got 5 left, so we're exactly halfway through. So it's at this stage usually with my videos that if you're still here and you're still watching me, thank you very much indeed for being here. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you've enjoyed what I've shown so far. So thank you for your attention. Okay, so we've got another record here now that was released in 1991, but very different from The White Room by the KLF. But it is also an album that I absolutely love. So what I will say about this one before I show it is, for me, this is one of the most celebratory albums ever made. Full stop. I think it should be a lot more widely known than it is. I think there's just nothing quite like it. It's quite unique in that regard. And what it does is this group are referencing song titles, lyrics, musical, passages in terms of little guitar solos, riffs, that sort of stuff, pouring it all into this beautiful blender, and then creating this gorgeous album as a result. So just to be clear, it's not using samples. It's not like a mashup album, like a Soul Wax, Too Many DJs or anything like that. Everything's being played musically, but I've just heard, have I just heard Smokey Robinson's Tracks of My Tears in there? You'd be right. Did I just hear the guitar refrain from Powderfinger by Neil Young and Crazy Horse? You'd be right, that's correct. So you get the idea of where I'm coming from. So all the way through, there's just all these little bits, and you're like, well, where's that from? Where have I taken that from? So if you're a bit of a musical magpie, and if you've got like an encyclopedic knowledge of pop and rock, then listening to this thing is going to be right up your street, because it's basically just a really fun exercise of spot the reference. So there you go. That's the kind of the intro spiel done. So if you're wondering what album I'm talking about, you might already know by now already. I've got an amazing group from Swansea called Acoustics, and this record is called The Great White Wonder. Now, The Great White Wonder itself, the title is a Bob Dylan reference. So as I've just mentioned, I wanted to get all that kind of out of the way first, because now you'll know what I'm referring to. So right down to the cover art, we've got it's almost like a bit of an Archie style thing going on there. Very 70s, sort of brings to mind for me the likes of, Brady Bunch, Partridge Family, that type of thing. That's the aesthetic I feel it's very much going for there. Got a great drawing there on the back cover as well of Paul the guitarist with an MC5 t-shirt on, or rather a character that's representing Paul. We've got Hugh Pooh here, Hugh, who's the lead singer. But yeah, even if you just look at the titles here of the songs, so you've got Sweet Baby James, which is of course a nod to James Taylor. We've got Desperado on there as well. I'm In You, which is an absolutely epic song, which is a Peter Frampton reference. So yeah, it's just such a wonderfully executed album, because it's just for them to have had so much knowledge in the first place of all these different musical touch points, and then to create, write original songs based upon those styles and those techniques and refrains and riffs and melodies, chord sequences, production techniques. It is all in there. It really is quite a marvelous album. So, I mean, as much as I always say with all my videos, I would love for people to go away and check everything out that I show, but I really want to give a really strong shout out to this one, along with the KLF. My two 1991ers here. Please do give this album a listen, because I just think anybody that's got an appreciation of music, of great songwriting, songcraft, you're going to absolutely love this one. So this is a repress that I got. I think it might have even have come out one year for Record Store Day, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm pretty sure as well that it's on white vinyl. I didn't play this one prior to recording the video today, but I know it so well just from years of having it on CD. I can, talk about these songs really confidently without needing that little refresh, really. I mean, I do try and listen to as much as I can prior to making videos, but time doesn't always work in my favour. But yeah, so I'll just run very quickly through the personnel. So we've got Hugh on vocals, Amelia, who I do believe is Amelia Fletcher, that is on vocals as well. Paul guitar, Alison bass, Trudy tambourine tape sections, ARP and Moog synthesizers and piano, and then we've got Stephanie on drums, and it's produced by Steve Gregory as well, who I believe is almost like the sort of the architect of the whole acoustics, band. And I think it was very much, Steve Gregory was an integral part of the project. The artwork is credited to Alan Forbes as well, for anyone who's interested in that. But yeah, I can't really say much more than that. In terms of, it's just a lovely way of listening and spotting these references. It's a lot of fun, and depending on what music you're into yourself, some of them may not register or strike a chord at all, and a lot of them very much will do so. Especially, I remember the first time when I was hearing that little Powderfinger guitar part in there, that really brought a smile to my face. And like I say, the intro riff of tracks and tears popping up and things like that. But the one that I will mention, just because it's well over, I think it's about 13-14 minutes, is I'm In You. It's just an absolutely heroic song. It builds and builds and builds. It's got this incredible extended guitar jamming it by Paul, who's just going for it on the guitar. Not overly sort of shredding or anything or going wild, a million notes a second, but the feel and the heart in that guitar part is just magnificent. So if you've got 14 minutes to spare to listen to an absolutely cracking song, please do listen to I'm In You. Alongside with that, The Rhythm of Love is one that I've enjoyed on here a lot as well. Sweet Baby James is superb, and Good Times. So there you go, Good Times. I'm pretty sure that being a sheet nod with the title. As you can see, they've done that pretty much throughout. Although the songs are all original, brilliant stuff. I mean, they must have got a lot of clearance though, copyright wise, with some of those bits that they've done. Just because, like I say, some of it is note for note identical to their counterparts, but such a lovely album, that The Great White Wonder by Acoustics. I'm really glad I've had a chance to show that record off. Don't think I've shown it up until now on the channel as time of recording, so that's a really lovely entry into our White series. Okay, so let's move on. Right, this is an excellent album from the 1960s, a bit of a psychedelic classic. It just about creeps in, I should say, just about creeps in as White, because it's the word whiter. So I think you already know what I'm talking about, everybody. So my copy here is a twofer. So we've got here, of course, A Whiter Shade of Pale by Procol Harum. That lovely front cover there. And then if you flip it, we've got A Salty Dog as well, which is another great album. But we're not here for A Salty Dog today. I have to keep focused on the album in question, which is A Whiter Shade of Pale. So let me just see what's going on here with that. Okay. Blimey, this is an old copy. So yeah, it's not in the greatest of condition, front cover wise and stuff, but they both play perfectly well. So let me just there we go, get that in there in shot. But yeah, this is just beautiful. In fact, this is just beautiful Sunday music for me. 1967, that rather incredible year for music. So got Gary Brooker on voice and piano, Matthew Fisher, of course, Hammond organ, coming up with one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic organ line in the history of popular music, with the title track "A White Shade of Pale." It's just worth the entry fee alone for that song. If you've never heard that song, please do listen to it. It's utterly gorgeous. Got Robin Trower, of course, on lead guitar, who's a guitar hero to many. Brilliant player. David Knight's on bass. BJ Wilson on percussion. So other favourites on here, of course, A White Shade of Pale is the song that is... Oops, got salted off there again. There you go. Show you the cover there very quickly again. There you go. So yeah, A White Shade of Pale is the song, but it is a great album throughout as well. Let's not only think about that one. Conquistador is a great follow-up track. I love She Wandered Through the Garden Fence as well. This is just really superb UK psych from the late 60s. Salad Days Are Here Again is excellent. Kaleidoscope, beautiful song. And Good Cats in Clack, I've always liked a good bit as well. So if you're looking just for a really gentle, sort of almost pastoral, psychedelic piece from the late 60s, Gary Brooker's vocals throughout are just incredible. Honestly, such a lovely album, that. A great album. A White Shade of Pale, Procol Harum. Love it to bits. I'll be really honest, haven't played it in a long time, but I do enjoy it a lot. And as I say, those first three tracks, Something Following Me actually as well is brilliant. Well, yeah, Mabel, yeah, wow. So yeah, it's a really good album. Gonna have to give that a spin again soon. I did see Procol Harum once live. Watched them at the Isle of Wight festival, and they were absolutely outstanding. The sun was absolutely baking that day. It was just, it was cracking the flags, as we would say here, up in the northwest of England, and I was down in the Isle of Wight, just chilling out in the field, listening to Procol Harum. Doesn't get better than that. It was a great gig, that one. First and only time I've ever watched them, but they were superb. So that's Procol Harum with A Whiter Shade of Pale. Okay, right. So we're moving a world away now from Procol Harum, but this came out. This was, I think it was 60. I think it was 68. This one, 66. Yeah, 68. I think it was. So this is moving away from all that pastoral, psyche, folky, UK prettiness of Procol Harum. What we're getting here is out of New York, the grimy streets of New York, as it were. Back then, this is, super experimental. It's noise rock. It's just incredible. There's just nothing else like it. Just an unbelievable album, to have this as your sophomore album, when for me you'd released one of the greatest albums. Well, for me it is the greatest album of the 60s, and certainly of all time, in your debut, which did come out the same year as A White Shade of Pale. This is the follow-up though. We've got White Light, White Heat by the Velvet Underground. What a band. So this is an alternate sleeve. There's also a sleeve as well, which is just all black as well. I love this photograph on the back on the back there of the Velvets as well. So got John Cale down here. He's still in the group at this point. Sterling Morrison, Lou Reed, of course, there in the corner, and then the brilliant Mo Tucker on drums. So yeah, this is like I don't think there's any other album like this in history, to be honest, of music. This is just the pinnacle of noise rock. It's got pretty bits in places, but they're very fleeting. Something gorgeous like Here She Comes Now, which is just this beautiful sort of 2-minute come down, when you've had up until that point an absolute onslaught of just cacophony and noise, and just this tinny kind of fuzzy abrasiveness going on in your head, and just spilling out those grooves. But I wouldn't have it any other way. When I'm in the mood for this, there's just nothing else like it. I do need to be in the mood for it, but it is such a special album. So favourite tracks on here, White Light, White Heat is just a great opener. The title track, got like almost like a bit of a bluesy sort of boogie kind of feel to that, but the drumming on it by Mo is just relentless, pound, 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 pounding away. The Gift is incredible as well. That is that is an absolute head scratcher, that one, in terms of the lyrical the lyrical story of that. I mean, that is really quite something. The Gift, that goes on for just over 8 minutes. That is definitely worth a listen, that one. Very compelling story to that. I won't give any of that away if you've never heard The Gift, but definitely worth listening to. Then we've got Lady Godiva's Operation as well, which was very forward thinking lyrically at the time. Again, coming from the pen of Lou Reed, was always getting into areas that I would say represented, an alternate slice of life. Certainly back then in the late 1960s. Very, very brave and a very talented lyricist in that regard is Lou. Very important. Then we've got the aforementioned Here She Comes Now, which is just this lovely little palate cleanser. And then we get to an absolutely unbelievably epic side too, which is I Heard Her Call My Name, which is amazing. But then, and this is the track, this is the track on this album, 17 minutes, nothing else like it in the history of music. We've got Sister Ray. Unbelievable song. The song that birthed for me, I'm sure many others would agree, birthed the Modern Lovers. That was the song that Jonathan Richman, I believe, just became an utter disciple of the Velvets. I'm sure he already loved the debut, but Sister Ray, I mean, go and listen to The Beat of Roadrunner by the Modern Lovers, and the musical cues it takes from there. It is Sister Ray, albeit in an abridged form with different lyrics. But what an absolutely unbelievable song that is. The lyrics in that are wild in places as well. Again, for the time that it was made, some of the stuff that Lou's getting into on that, just epic, amazing music, amazing song, love it to bits. Great album produced by Tom Wilson. Yeah, White Light, White Heat. It's just crazy to think that out. Yeah, as a second album, it's just, yeah, wild, great stuff, that. But my favourite album of all time, or sort of joint favourite of all time, I should say, really, along with the Bends by Radiohead from '95, is the Velvet Underground and Nico. But that does need to be listened to as well. Brilliant stuff. Right, so we've got two left. Okay, so I've just been talking there about Mo Tucker from the Velvet Underground, brilliant drummer. One of the, just a brilliant style to where Primal, pounding away. And I feel that she was very much an influence on this lady here who drummed in this duo. So this is from the early 2000s, I think it's 2001 to be exact, which for me was a great year for music. At 19 years old at this point, I'm absorbing everything that's brand new. You're getting all this incredible music that's being made, in the UK, but then we're getting some awesome stuff during that time period, early 2000s, coming out of the US as well. So the likes of the Black Rebel Motorcycle Club and the Strokes. But then we got these guys. I mean, this is actually their third album, but this was my first album with this group. As soon as I heard it, I was in love with it. Wanted to hear everything that this group had done to that point, 2 albums of stuff. Went away and got those immediately on CD. Fell in love with them even more. Went on to watch them a good number of times. I think I saw them at least 5 or 6 times as well. So yeah, this takes me right back to being a late teen. Great album, love it to bits. We've got here the White Stripes with White Blood Cells. Always love that cover art. So this was, as I say, my first White Stripes album. Love it. So this is the 20th anniversary pressing of it here, as you can see. So this was from 2021. And as you can see there from the Atlantic, the hype sticker says, forget the hype, listen to the songs. Couldn't agree more with it. Great from start to finish, this one. So if you're into your raw sort of garage rock, blues, slight little bit of cowpunk maybe in there at a push, a little bit of country in there, some beautiful pretty acoustic numbers as well. There you go, that's the record there. Then please do give White Blood Cells a listen by the White Stripes. It is still my favourite of theirs, as much as I've loved other albums that came out before it, and a good couple that came after it, the likes of Elephant, Get Behind Me Satan as well. They were strong all the way through the career, but I just think in terms of the song quality on here, the fact that it's just in my heart because it was my first one with them, watching them around this time when this album, was being toured, coming over to this country and playing and seeing them at that point. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, picking a few on here that are favourites. Wow, love it so much. Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground gets us started off brilliantly, just pounding away. And yeah, if you've not heard the White Stripes before at all, it's Meg and Jack White. He's just an absolute blinder on the guitar. This guy, I love his guitar style. And then she's just keeping that rock steady beat. But it's just a pair of them. The guitaring on it is really, it's nasty in places. It's aggressive. It's got this really biting sound to it. But then there's other parts again with these more acoustic things, really pretty. Something like "We're Going to Be Friends" is beautiful. That appeared on the title credits of the film Napoleon Dynamite, if that's of interest to anybody. But yeah, going back to Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground, almost got like a bit of a Led Zeppelin feel to it, that one. Just a really strong, powerful opener. Then we get this gorgeous little acoustic number called Hotel Yorba, which follows up Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground. It's like a bit of a country ditty, that one. And Finding It Harder to Be a Gentleman is excellent. Fell in Love with a Girl, wow, that's amazing. A proper garage rocker, that one. Went on to be covered by Joss Stone a good few years later. Little Room is brilliant. Same Boy You've Always Known. Oh wow, Expecting on the side one. And then one of my absolute favourites on here, I used to play it on my guitar a lot. Even got up on an acoustic mic, opened a mic night one night and did a version of this, which was quite good fun. I did a version of I Think I Smell a Rat, which has almost got like a bit of almost like a flamenco sort of guitar style going onto it on that one. But that's really good fun. I Think I Smell a Rat, really good pounder. I Can't Wait is great on side two as well, this Protect to Finish. Honestly, such a great album, that one. White Blood Cells by the White Stripes. Really good from start to finish. If you're a fan of it, please do let me know what you think of it. And do you think that it is the best album by the White Stripes that Jack and Meg White put out? Okay, right. And now we're up to the final album, everybody, for my part two of Cream and White, which I've really enjoyed. So we're going back to 1978 here. This is a group that are so special to me. One of the greatest groups to come out of the UK. This album is their debut and it marks a very specific period of their existence where they had a very unique sound. As regards their own evolution, it wasn't unique in that there were other groups that were doing a similar thing, but they moved away from this sound pretty quickly, but they did it very, very well indeed. So to finish us off for part two, we have got XTC with White Music. So it's the debut. And if you're wondering as well, the order I've done these in, they've not been ranked. I explain all this in the part one video. They've just been done in alphabetical order. So there we go. What a band these are. So we've got Andy Partridge here, co-principal songwriter. Got Colin Moulding here, wonderful bass player. His co-songwriting partner. Got Barry Andrews in the group at this point on keyboards. Great talent. And then we've got the brilliant Terry Chambers on drums as well. Okay, so I'll just show you the front and back cover before we get into tracks. It's just got a plain black sleeve on it there. As you can see, it's on Virgin Records. Yeah, and what I was saying about the sound here that the band had at this stage, this is like their very herky-jerky, post-punky, new wave period. Andy Partridge himself, which I think is a very apt description, likens his own vocal stylings on here to that of a sea lion. He talks about that in the absolutely brilliant XTC documentary, This Is Pop. For anybody who hasn't seen that documentary, I would highly recommend it. One of my favourite music documentaries ever made. Even if you're not a fan of XTC, I would encourage you to watch it, and I would probably imagine that by the time you've got to the end of that documentary, you would at least want to go and check them out. But they are a sublime band. I mean, anybody who knows of XTC or is already into them, I know I'm kind of preaching to the converted on that regard, but I'm saying this more for people that may be uninitiated or wanting to give them a check out. So yeah, but don't let the sea lion thing kind of put you off with the barking. It's still really hypnotic music. It's still very eye-catching, ear-catching as well, I should say. Lyrics are superb, as you'd expect. Engineered by John Leckie, this one, so it sounds great. And the kind of the whole, the barky sea lion thing, that sounded more like a dog. It does lend itself really well to the kind of the angular post-punk style that the group are going for on here. The songs are twisty-turny, the very stop-start. You can hear how tight the group are for a start, for the way in which they can just, spin it like 1 minute they're absolutely frantically pummeling away, then the next it just stops, and then it, kicks back into life. Excellent musicianship. But the vocals work, they do work by Andy Partridge. I mean, he would go on to sing much more smoothly, effectively, arguably a bit more, I don't want to say like in a more acceptable way, but maybe in a more, in a style that's maybe a little bit more popular, and maybe easier to get, to get on board with. But his voice on here is absolutely fine. But I just thought it was worth mentioning because he makes a note of that himself in the documentary that I'm referring to earlier. So yeah, there's some truly excellent songs on here as well. If you're into your post-punk, like I say, new wave, bands like Devo, Talking Heads, if you're into that type of thing, you're going to love XTC. Great stuff. Radio's in Motion, brilliant Andy Partridge song to start us off. Got like a great sort of pounding bass on that one. Barry Andrews is doing brilliant things all the way through on this as well. He's credited here with steam piano and clapped out organs. They do sound pretty clapped out, to be fair. And Terry Chambers is just drums. There you go. And then we got Colin, bass and voice, Andy, guitar and voice. So yeah, Radio's in Motion is brilliant. This is Pop. So that was the name of the documentary just referred to as well, that gave its name to that. That's a great song on here. Do What You Do is a Colin Moulding song. That's quite fun and catchy. One of the best ever XTC songs is on here, which is Statue of Liberty, which is another Andy song. So again, for people that are not familiar with XTC, if Andy wrote it, Andy sang it. If Colin wrote it, Colin sang it. So Andy's got some great stuff on here. I think at this point, to be fair, Colin Moulding was still finding his feet as a songwriter, but blimey, he caught up very quickly, and he has got some brilliant songs to follow in their catalogue. Yeah, Statue of Liberty is the song that is just, I adore it so much. The words of it are so clever. It's just such an inventive idea for a song, very heartfelt in its own way. But Andy's on fire on that song. I mean, the whole band sound great, but yeah, Statue of Liberty is wonderful. And then to close side one, we get a really bizarre cover of All Along the Watchtower, obviously the Bob Dylan song. So whether you think it rivals the Jimi Hendrix version, I'd be interested to know that, but it is certainly very interesting. It's quite a way to do it with a particular little, like I think it's like a harmonica from memory on that one at some point. But it doesn't say on here who's credited with the harmonica, I don't think. Unless it's been done as maybe a keyboard effect by Barry, I'm not sure, but sounds brilliant. All on the Watchtower. And then side two is cool as well. Atom Age to kick it off. I'm Bugged is pretty good. That's about, feeling like an insect. That's really good. But my favourite two, I would say, on side two, we've got Newtown Animal, which is brilliant. That's another Andy song, but the whole lyric of that goes Newtown Animal in Furnished Cage. And then Neon Shuffle to finish as well, which is very sort of sci-fi kind of influenced. And again, another group I should mention probably, if you're into the B-52s as well, you probably find a lot to enjoy in early XTC. They wouldn't stay in this sound for long, but when they did it, as they did on the debut, they did it as well as anybody that I can think of. Right, so there we are, we're done. So that's part two finished. So again, if you're still here, thank you very much indeed for making it through to the end. I really appreciate your time and attention. I thoroughly enjoyed doing that one. And I do hope that people that watch part one, if you've got your cream and whites together listed, then please do pop them in the comments. So I will be back as soon as I can to do part three. And I will now give you my heads up as to what part three is going to be. So in that video, I'm going to be looking at the colours in my vinyl collection that are in the titles Silver and Gold. So we've got a few more albums in that one. I think there's about 15 from memory in that part. So, more albums than what we've got here. But I'm looking forward to going into that one. So, yeah, Silver and Gold to come. So if you enjoyed what I did today, then please do consider giving the video a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it if you did. And if you're also new to the channel, if you're checking me out for the first time, then please do consider subscribing as well. Or maybe, maybe you've watched me a few times now, but you've still not clicked that subscribe. Maybe if you could consider doing that, that would mean a lot. And if you do choose to do that, then please do click the notification bell as well, just to keep you up to date with things that I've got landing as and when. So as things stand at the moment, at the time of recording, I'm trying to get one video a week done. That's working out pretty well for me at the moment, just with various other commitments I've got going on. So I am trying to hold myself accountable to doing a video a week. So all going well, I will be recording again next week with part 3 of the All My Colours series. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll pop the link to part 1 in the description box to this video, just so you can go and see what I had to say about the colours brown, grey and black. All right then, so I'm all done and dusted. I'm going to go and have a little bit of a chill now. It's a beautiful day here, again, on this day of recording. Sun is shining, so I'm going to listen to some records, I think, have a little bit of a chill out today. And until next time, take care everybody, and I'll be back soon. Bye for now.